Hello everyone and welcome back to City Skylines 2 official gameplay trailer with release date on the 24th of October this year. I am so excited. This is one of the most exciting videos I've ever produced, and it was just released as I'm recording this, so I'm just running off adrenaline right now, so I'll excuse up front if everything I'm saying in this video ain't gonna be too coherent, but I really freaking love this game, so I am excited. I'm jacked up about this.
I'm jacked.
I'm jacked to the tits!
Good. Do you feel it? No.
And yeah, let's just go through the trailer, like from end to end, and I'll share some of my thoughts, what I like, what I dislike, and what's less promising, and then like an overall conclusion. And I guess I should say that, I mean, this is just an official gameplay trailer. There's a lot of depth to this game, so, you know, I'm gonna come with some presumptions, and I might be wrong about some things, but yeah, I just wanna share with you guys. I thought I'd share this moment as well because it feels very exciting to me, at least. Let's just get started. The first screen that I've kind of frozen at here is something. This is an intro I love. All footage captured in game. Can't help but feel this is them poking a bit at all the speculation that arose following the announcement trailer, where people were speculating what type of engine the game would be built in. Did we actually see glimpses of in-game footage during the announcement trailer? Was it all, you know, it led to a lot of speculation, and while I think they enjoyed the hype it generated, I also, you know, think that, you know, they've also kind of had to think about managing expectations, you know, and I mentioned that in my previous video where I analyzed the trailer, that I would be very disappointed personally if there was a massive you know, distance or discrepancy between the overall aesthetic of the announcement trailer and then the actual gameplay that we'd be presented with later. I'm happy to say up front I'm not disappointed, but let's get more into this. So yeah, I really like this this part here. And we immediately pauses again, just to go scene by scene, because there are already promising aspects here. So I guess what we're seeing here is a sort of a main road overpassing a stretch of highway. We've got some road markings here that I assume are default, automatically placed on these segments at, maybe not at, it doesn't look like it's at each segment game engine wise, because I assume this straight segment differs from this curved one. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of you know, how the game manages auto placement of different things, because we've also got some lines here that are presumably also auto generated. But generally one thing I like here is just the overall aesthetic. It's a nice, lush and green. Looks to be either in the afternoon or like early morning based on the shadows. And it also seems that just the assets, so the road textures and how they've chosen to design it, it just looks more realistic. It doesn't strive to be hyper realistic, which is fine, because that can, if you don't achieve that can look odd as well. So, but it isn't as cartoony as the original game, and I think that's also clear from the vehicles we see here. I mean, I'm looking for a massive hot dog strapped on to like a truck, and I can't find it. We've got a utility truck here of sorts, and we can't see everything, but it looks realistic, I guess. And then we've got like a line of Succession style SUVs or trucks or something here with important people or whatever. But yeah, I'm hyped. Let's move on. Oh, one more thing. Oh, what's going on down here? Oi, oi, oi. Did you guys see that? Let's just grab that again. We've got some vehicles acting up or down here. Okay, I don't know what that is about. Anyways, one more thing. It seems that unless this uses some kind of modifier to slow or speed up in-game footage, then it seems that vehicles travel at a more realistic speed now. And it also seems that they don't have the same cartoony Tom and Jerry lean in the corners. It's a little hard to actually conclude that here, but I think based on some of the other footage, that's gonna be the case. Cars are not gonna lean 45 degrees to the side when they actually make a turn, and they are likely to have different, speed limits or the depiction of speed limits. And I know I'm going really nitty gritty into the detail, but I mean, that's what I do. That's what we love here, so bear with me. But yeah, that's something else I noticed. Let's move on. All right, we pause again immediately. Good things and bad things. I think a good thing is the overall color palette. I really do assume that these are the kind of colors and aesthetics you can achieve in the vanilla version of this game. I would be very disappointed if they've done like expensive post processing of this in-game footage. That'd be super annoying. So the good thing is that I think these colors overall look pretty realistic. That's nice. Bad thing, I mean, this basic key here that's gonna ship with the vanilla game, man, it looks just as basic as the one in Cities Skylines 1, but I mean, I guess that's okay. One other thing that I guess we can kind of conclude is that the procedurally generated building heights or buildings, just full buildings, is probably not a thing. Many people hoped for that, but it seems that if we look at this skyline here, this central business district or whatever it is, we are already seeing quite a bit of repetition. I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that a 6? No, 5 versions of the same skyscraper. We've got 2 brothers right here. We've got a couple of sisters hanging out over here. So repetition is gonna be a thing. So it's gonna be interesting to see just how deep the vanilla asset pool is gonna be, how many assets for like low residential 4x4 tiles, high commercial 3x4, how much variation are we gonna get through zoning with the amount of assets available. That's gonna be interesting. We also see a couple of single family detached housing down here, and we've got some repetition going on. However, repetition is to be expected if the lots or the buildings aren't procedurally generated, so that's okay. I didn't really expect that to be implemented into the game, to be honest. One thing I want to point out though is that with repetition gonna being a thing, I do like that some of the buildings seem to have a more generic character. We've got some truly weird buildings in Cities Skylines 1 vanilla, and many of them are actually modeled off of real life buildings, but real life buildings that are also known to be odd in the context where they are. So I'm liking that, despite lots of repetition, this actually looks all right, this skyline, because many of the skyscrapers, they have this kind of almost brutalist international style. This I think the style is actually just called international. It really came to prominence during the 60s and 70s in Chicago and New York, and while it looks a little boring, a little bland, it also kind of mixes in pretty well, and the same goes for these apartment blocks over here, which leads me to another pretty interesting point. There seems to be a split here in like the time frame for buildings or the age of buildings. This looks like a 1920s Brooklyn brown brick tenement building, while these buildings over here have almost sort of a Scandinavian or Eastern European design to them, and they look a little more modern. They look like they could have timbered roofs and different materials all together, maybe some kind of prefabricated elements, which would probably indicate that they are maybe from the 60s, 70s and onwards. So I'm a pretty big fan of that. Additionally, one thing that's really, really interesting here is, and I'm just speculating now because obviously I don't know, do we actually see 3 types of residential zoning density here? Because we've got single family, really low density detached housing occupying a lot of this area here. Then if we move over here, we've got an uptick in density with these narrow, sort of almost brownstones, these row houses here, which are either, single occupant, but can have multiple apartments in real life at least, especially when they get renovated. So, and then we have this, which is like more classic medium density. We've also got this building here, which is maybe 10, 12 stories tall, and it looks to be residential. It's got a pretty bland, generic residential look. I'm speculating, I don't know, but this is interesting. I would love for us to have, 3 actual zoning types for residential because the game needs it. The game needs it. And we had it in SimCity 4 and it was very enjoyable to work with in that game. I guess one more thing is I don't see any indicators of wealth levels, which are a little disappointing. Now, I hope I'm wrong here, but I would love, and I mentioned that in my analysis video of the announcement trailer as well, I would love to have, a visual wealth difference in areas that is modeled off of, the location, the amount of pollution, the amount of crime, the amount of service coverage, out of schools awful and overloaded and all that good stuff. I would love to actually see that. I don't see it here, but I'm hopeful. This is also something that was present in SimCity 4. May you rest in peace. Beautiful game. And yeah, I'm hoping. Let's move on. I've rambled enough about this scene. Oh yeah, one more thing. We saw these upgrades here. That's pretty cool. This natural evolution. And in this case, it's density being upped. So once again, I'm hoping that what's actually happened here is that there's been, it's been zoned from the lowest density residential to medium density. And that's like the upzoning we'll see. And then I wonder if this is also medium density or if we've moved into like high density. We'll see. One more thing that something else that's really interesting. It's a little hard to actually see from this screenshot, but doesn't it look like these buildings aren't facing perfectly straight towards the road they've been zoned on? I mean, this one seems to be angled ever so slightly compared to the road. It's almost like the path leading to the entrance here isn't actually cut off completely straight. I'm just guessing here, but it would be awesome if the actual assets that spawn do kind of take into consideration the angle at which they have been zoned. We can already conclude that it doesn't seem like it's a perfectly modeled system because we've got a super awkward empty lot here, which, yeah, let's just assume that either the tiles here zoned look weird or nothing is probably gonna grow here. So it's a bit of a shame to see that at least it's my guess that there's not like a true zoning revolution here, which would compare maybe a little more to SimCity 2013, where zoning was a little more was able to conform better to curved areas. But we'll see. There are some interesting things at play here, or maybe I'm just completely blind, but yeah. Let's pause here. I immediately noticed the aesthetic again. Once again, I do really assume that these are colors that you will be able to achieve in the vanilla game and that there are no post-processing here. I'm gonna be furious if that's the case. Sorry. But yeah, I really hope that's the case because the actual aesthetics look good. There are still a few trees that, I don't know, I guess they look a little vanilla City Skylines-ish, but then you have some that look quite good as well. So I think they've learned from like the recent trees that they added to City Skylines 1, which are obviously a lot better than the original trees that the game shipped with. If we just take a look at the assets used here, This looks to be like a mid-century architecture, single-family home. We've got some different stuff over here. Almost looks like small bungalows with porches up front. And then we've got these row houses here, and there are plenty of like variations in their style and coloring. So it looks really good. Actually, it does. The aesthetics of the train as well. You guys know I'm not a train guy, so I'll need to be really careful what I say now. But I think the overall aesthetics of the trains, once again, much less cartoony. So that's really a welcome addition. One more comment on the auto-placed like road markings. If we see here, we've got special road markings to indicate that you're about to enter a roundabout. Very, very cool stuff. I assume these are automatically placed, based on game calculations, which would be very cool. And here we've got a real standard, I assume 2x2, low density commercial development. So yeah, not much to say here. We are moving on, and once again, I'm pretty pleased with the colors. They look great. Once again, let's comment on the vehicles. I don't know why there are smarts everywhere. The leaked photos contained like 5 of these tiny vehicles as well. I know they're a thing, and a thing among millennials, because we can't afford more than a smart. But it's a little weird with all the smarts. But anyways, the actual aesthetics of the remaining vehicles is awesome. And we've got a bike here, like an actual, like, what is that? Is that like a Triumph or an Indian or a Harley Davidson? I don't know, but it's pretty cool, and it's parked right up to the sidewalk, like most bikers would. I know, I used to own a motorcycle. You push it all the way to the sidewalk to avoid people hitting it. And the overall aesthetics of like this Ford Transit van or whatever it is, and a car here, and we've got like a sedan here. The tram as well, like just a vehicle, it just looks much better. It's awesome. Look at this garbage truck here. It's perfect. Really happy to see this. Oh yeah, I should comment on the buildings as well. One thing I like about the screenshot is that we do see quite a few variations in these high rises, but we also see, we've got some sinners here. I think you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5, 6, 7 of these buildings. I don't know if these are exactly the same, but it's a little worrying to have all this much repetition, especially since they went for such a generic style in skyscrapers. Now, I know I said that that's a strong point when you have repetition, and it is, but they should be pretty easy and quick to model in their whatever 3D tool of choice they use. So it should be pretty easy for them to just make more versions of it. Like, just make a version exactly like this one, but just cut it a little shorter, add a little detail or logo, color it a bit differently, and call it a day. Even that slight variation is going to just help with the overall look of the city. So yeah, we'll see how bad it is, but it's a little worrying. This building here looks like a college building of some sort. Very nice. And very interestingly, look at the parking over here. Gonna be very curious to see just how parking is actually placed out in the game. Is it something you paint and can manipulate like a network? Or is it the assets you place down? We'll see. Nighttime aesthetics looking sweet. I'm loving the water reflections. I'm a little skeptical about the I don't know if it's called the illumination map or whatever it's called. It's been a long time since I played with creating assets of my own, but having everything light up in these skyscrapers look a bit odd. It kind of stands out. I much prefer the look over here, and this one seems more realistic. I know I'm commenting on literally everything, but yeah, it's born out of love for this game. So I hope you're as big nerds as I am. Sunrise, early morning aesthetics. Looks pretty sweet. Also, look at these container cranes. The scale here definitely seems to be improved. This looks pretty cool with these massive cranes in the distance. I'm really looking forward to how we'll build our port areas. I'm hoping for more network integration, not having to rely on fixed sized assets that you then have to place in, because if Move It is not baked into the original game, then it's always wonky to work with like these type of assets. We see more variation here in some of the buildings at least. We've got some office towers here bearing, company logos up front, on top, sorry, but we also see quite a bit of repetition, so we'll see. A bridge design seems to have been improved. Some of the leaked screenshots also seemed to indicate that we'll have some cooler bridges this time around in the base game. I'm really loving the water aesthetics. The reflections, they look really nice. Landscaping. So this is the new UI and it looks fine. I mean, it's very reminiscent of the existing one that we're already using, which is absolutely fine. Why change that up? I think other than that, I'm not gonna comment on all the icons down here. I don't want to speculate what they mean. People have analyzed the leaked screenshots to death, so I think most of this is already covered elsewhere. Although I am of course gonna comment on what seems to be the new color for office zoning. But yeah, I think the aesthetics of the UI looks pretty sleek, and once again, I'm pretty happy with the overall aesthetics of the game. At least I think the tree assets that are presented here look better than the ones that ship with the vanilla City Skylines 1 game. So I mean that's a plus. But yeah, I don't have too many comments on the UI. Now this is pretty cool. This this is also possible in SimCity 4, and it's awesome. It's gonna be especially beneficial, of course, building cities in regions where 90 degrees grids are more prevalent. So it could be a classic US based city. This is gonna allow you to drag out massive like residential neighborhoods or even downtowns of your choice, and yeah, it's gonna be really nice. We get a little glimpse here into some of the roads that ship with the base game. There are not a ton, but we are in the, I guess, small road category here. And we immediately see that it seems like they went for an American aesthetic. At least I think this yellow line here maybe indicates that. It's going to be interesting to see the tools here. There are a ton of like snapping options down here, which is going to be interesting to play around with. And we've of course got the Gerber. Can't wait to remove Gerber, but yeah, good to see that he lived on. Also, let's just see that again. I assume that you can build roundabouts in an entirely different fashion now. Maybe it's this menu here. Because these are very, very tight and snug, and they are exactly the same diameter, these two. So yeah, let's just assume that it's much, much easier to create roundabouts now, because if you attempt to create a roundabout like this in the vanilla game, I don't even think that's going to be possible, not to this scale. And if you do it with mods, you are going to have to use like some special networks, some like curbless networks. You will use a clipping remover. You have to go through a ton of hoops just to get it working, because you will have lots of nodes and segments here that are, squeezed together, and the game is gonna act up and be very mad. One thing that's really cool here as well that I just wanted to highlight is that the player is dragging out a road which has like an S-curve. We see that being marked here. And the game automatically detects that this segment here, it crosses another road type segment, and it seems to automatically highlight and create the actual intersection, which is really cool. More roads. Look at this. This looks awesome. This is a massive, massive improvement to the aesthetics of the original game. And that's, I think that's one of the main takeaways for me right now. The overall aesthetic has just improved. I think it was the first point in like my analysis video of the announcement trailer. I'm gonna link that down below. But it was one of the most important points, at least I made. Please just change the overall aesthetics, and then we can figure out the rest. Because the main issue with the original game has always been, you know, in my opinion at least, weird looking assets, very, very cartoony aesthetics. These, you know, the weird colors of the maps and the LUGs that ship with the game. It's either oversaturated or it looks like, you know, Steven Spielberg parody of Mexico where everything is like yellow or something. So super weird. Anyways, we're back to looking at assets and look at these, low-rise commercial assets here, and the integrated parking lots they have looks to be, you know, they've really taken some inspiration from real-life cities, perhaps primarily in the United States. That's at least the vibe I get with pretty much everything so far in the trailer. So yeah, that looks really great. We also see some pretty intricate and detailed road markings at pretty much every single crossing that we're seeing currently, which is pretty cool because we can maybe, you know, are these auto-generated is like what I'm wondering, or do you have customization abilities right off the gate? Yeah, it's interesting because this one, I mean, look at the amount of, you know, detailing we have here. This is feasible in City Skylines 1, but you're gonna, you know, spend 20 minutes at least with the intersection marking tool. You're gonna use node controller to make sure that this node is stretched a bit in this direction to make these more curvy and yada yada yada. It just takes a lot of time. So if this is, you know, like a design choice that the game can, you know, default to, then that would be awesome. But yeah, we'll see. Lots of exciting stuff. We're seeing some pretty detailed gardens here next to these row houses, and it's funny because from this angle, this whole picture kind of reminds me of SimCity 4, especially these like brownstones, these row houses, which is a great thing. It's a fantastic thing. It's an awesome game. So really excited. We get, you know, insights into the overall aesthetic as well. We got some like postmodernist BS design here. This is, I don't know how this is architecture, but whatever. Then we've got some, this is not like a brownstone, but it's more like an upscale New York facing Central Park-ish building. Very, very cool look. And we've got modern skyscrapers all over. And we've got some tiny, tiny row houses here. Like these are definitely single family. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing just how many asset variations we get, how many assets do we get, and what, you know, how many zoning layers do we have to play with. And we're just seeing some, so there you go. Oh, what is this? We've got, okay, we've got single family, detached housing. We've got some sort of like low density. Is this like middle missing stuff? We've got some medium density here, and then additional densities. What is this? And this building is this like a storefront at the bottom? Is this like mixed use? Oh, this is very interesting. And what's this type of zoning? Is it like, it looks to be a pump jack? So is this an industrial type zoning that is specialized in some way? Yeah, this is very, very interesting. And look at this. Oh my god. We've got a European theme as well built in. We just haven't seen lots of it in the trailer so far. But perhaps the buildings that I mentioned earlier that we had a look at, the residential buildings in the first like in-game screenshot of a city, they are probably European themed then. This is very, very cool. And yeah, the overall aesthetics, really liking it. I like the inbuilt transparency layer here in the UI. Looks very sleek. And we've got, yeah, okay, so my guess was correct. We've got office zoning. We've only got 2 zoning densities, which I mean, if there's to be only two, then I guess office is the correct one, because this is supposed to, like, it's supposed to highlight, you know, jobs that need a high level of education, you know, specialized jobs, banks, lawyer firms, accountant firms, all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, okay, and it's better than the current setup we have, where we've only got like one density, right? So yeah, I'm happy about that. Look at the UI here for just how this road is connected. I mean, just this whole angle. Look at this picture. It looks awesome. We've got the single track train line running down here. It looks awesome. The what's this called? Sound wall? is it called a sound wall? The sound wall looks awesome as well. Everything looks great. I'm really happy with the aesthetics. This just looks, I can't wait. This looks beautiful. Look at the transitions up here. Oh my god. This is like the American Psycho, you know, business card scene. Look at Paul Allen's transition here. It even has a watermark. This is just gorgeous. I am so excited. And this is great. Sorry, this is awesome. Really loving the aesthetic here, and you know, all this information that we are given, you know, in hooking up this curve. And then let's jump to the negative thing, because I'm really happy generally about this scene, but I'm not too happy about this zoning layout. So I guess this does highlight, you know, the issue that we saw in some of the screenshots and some of the earlier clips. Zoning is still a little outdated, how they've designed it, how it's implemented in game. But I mean, I guess that's just how it is. And if there's a little change in like how the lots are designed based on the curve of the road they're attached to, then maybe that's gonna amend some of it. But yeah, that's unfortunate. Let's move on. Beautiful aesthetic. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. Ooh, this looks nice. Yeah, it just looks great. We've got some, let's see, we've got some industry, assuming this is power plants, and then we've got some what looks to be really dirty, heavy industry up here. And it's hard to see because it's kind of small, but I mean, the aesthetics, once again, it looks like they've just nailed it. Things just look better. And I'm so happy about that. Once again, we see some of the zoning issues here. But yeah. We are working on our university, a massive complex that offers education for academically oriented citizens, provides the fourth level of education. So we've got elementary school. Oh, this is interesting because I'm from Denmark, and here you generally have 3 tiers. You've got elementary school, grades 0 till 9. Then you've got high school, in some countries also known as gymnasium, which is 3 years generally. You can take a 2-year version. And then you have university, so it's the 3rd tier basically. And you can take a bachelor's program, which is 3 years. And you can add a master's on top, which is an additional 2 years. So total 5 years. Or you can also study like 1 year extra at a bachelor and then find out it's not for you and go to uni for 6 years like I did. Not recommendable, by the way, but yeah. Can be upgraded with an extension wing, a library, and a park. This is a pretty cool system because it kind of highlights the areas at which you can add this extension. This could be the... What is this? Is this the library? It's probably the extension wing or something. But it's pretty cool. We've got a dedicated upgrades menu here as well. So yeah, poor fella's absolutely bleeding money. You'd think I'd be the one playing. Anyways, the parking looks pretty good. I mean, yeah. It's much better than City Skylines 1, but maybe also a little, I don't know. It looks a little weird, these spaces here. It's much better than the original game. So yeah, good start. Once again, we've got these smarts everywhere. Come on. Why? So in this city, you are as likely as a new started family to buy a Ford Transit van as a smart. Is that your 2 choices for your first family car? And it seems we just placed down something. This is a police station, obviously. And we've got a few variants, and this one seems like a real chunky boy, so that's like a national police headquarters of some sort. And everyone is obviously super happy because this positively reduces crime rates, at least if you do proper preventive action and don't just, bust up citizens for, yeah, no, it's getting political. We've got these sound, not walls, but barriers. That's the right word, right? Sound barriers. Anyways, we've got these over here and they look pretty sweet. The whole just aesthetic of the highway system just looks awesome. Look how great this looks. What's this? Foggy Highway and Daffodil Highway. All right, we'll take that naming, I guess. But they just look less chunky than vanilla City Skylines 1, which is great because they are absolutely massive in City Skylines 1 for no reason. So they fit much better into the urban fabric. I mean, look at the, it's a highway, right? But it could also masquerade for just like an elevated main road where the speed limit isn't like 60 or 70 miles per hour, but maybe 50 or something, like an urban expressway of sorts. Yeah, very, very cool stuff. Let's move on. We're placing down a tram depot and the aesthetic is once again much improved. This parking lot looks very sexy. Looks like I made it with some ploppable asphalt and some raceable parking mods. And the overall aesthetic of the tram depot also looks better. The scale looks much better. I mean, compare this to the vanilla train depot in City Skylines 1. It's no contest. This looks great. These buildings here, I wonder if this is actually the low density office zoning. It looks like it, doesn't it? It looks like a cookie cutter office you'd have like in a suburban office park in like Jacksonville or in Tampa or any other US city. Sorry. We've got row houses, row house type zoning here, and they look awesome. It looks great. Very, very happy. One thing I note here is that the garden here for this building is really, really long. So I'm curious if there is some sort of like procedurally generatedness to how gardens are. So if, because it almost looks odd, but it's like the zoning here took up the whole lot. Yeah, I'm really speculating. Let's move on. Ooh. Let's not miss a little look at our network UI here. We've got a line, we can see the stops, and there's like an attempt to show the comparative distances between each stops. The tram depot owns it. The destination is 33 Victoria Street, and the line is called Springwood Loop. And it carries 0 passengers, so it's a proper American tram line. It's underfunded. It doesn't go to any important places, and it's a prestige project to market the city a bit. Perfect realism. I really like that. We've got someone who's dead here, I assume. I'm pretty happy with these new logos as well. And look at these yards again, these gardens. There's a lot of variation going on here, it seems. Yeah, awesome stuff. Look at these terraces people have here, these wood terraces. This is fantastic. I'm so hyped. Can you feel it? Oh my god. We've got, this is the university. Okay. We've got rich people. Gotta have rich people, I hope we have poor people as well. I know, okay, that sounds sadistic, but yeah, it's a reference to my earlier wish. I hope we have socio-economic groups in this game. It's much more realistic, please. Nice aesthetics. Oh. Okay, so this is interesting. Let's do a little analysis here, because if you guys watch my content, you know that I'm a massive fan of the realistic population mod. And what that basically does is it completely recalculates the population and job figures for all buildings in game based on their volume. How many floors do they contain? How big of a lot size are they? And then the mod attempts to, you know, provide a more realistic number for the amounts of like inhabitants in a residential building and the amount of workers in an office or commercial building. And generally, it's much more realistic. There are a few misses here and there, but it's much more realistic than the vanilla game, which is insane. You have 5 families living in a tiny 1x1 zoned house, which doesn't make sense. So let's use our knowledge from the realistic population mod to look at this building. This is 389 Hamilton Street. And if this name here for this building is auto-generated based on its placement, and the fact that this street here is actually named Hamilton Street, then that is awesome. That is an awesome new feature. I'm hopeful. The average wealth is wealthy. What does that mean? What does that mean? Show me an example where it's not wealthy. Does that affect the props or the look of the building, how well maintained it is, the crime rate? Interesting stuff. I can't wait to play this game. God damn, I can't wait. The number of residents currently living in this building, we are at 25. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stories tall, 7 if you count the ground floor, leaving us with what? 2 units or so per floor? No, sorry, not 15. 25. Okay, so we got more units per floor. So I guess it's actually a little better. It's actually a little better. Okay. Citizen age determines their education opportunities and whether or not they can work. Age also affects citizen health. As they grow older, they are more prone to falling ill. Education level determines the citizens' job opportunities, wages, and their work efficiency. Their average education level also affects how much garbage they produce. Very interesting stuff. And we are still absolutely bleeding money. Damn. We are placing down a coal power plant, and just look at how chunky this boy is. Damn, look at the scale. Like this seems to be like a 4, well, it's not a 4x4 because it appears that we've got many more zoning layers, but anyways, this could be like the maximum size a zonable residential building is gonna, you know, occupy. Look at this power plant in relation to that. It looks awesome. This is amazing. And all the tree assets and the shrubs and like bushes used in this particular scene also just look awesome right out the gate. A power plant that burns coal to produce electricity. Fairly inexpensive to build and maintain, but generates lots of pollution. Who cares? Can be upgraded with an additional turbine, enlarged coal storage, exhaust filter, and an advanced furnace. Actually, I do care about pollution, but I just made a series of a city in Florida, so for roleplay, I don't care. It should be named Clean Coal Power Plant as well. Storage, so this is tons of coal for storage. Ground pollution, air pollution, noise pollution. I like these bars here. They look nice. We can do upgrades. It looks like we can add an extra. Yeah, okay, sorry. It says right here. Sorry. Can be upgraded with an additional turbine, a large coal storage, exhaust filler, and an advanced furnace. I love that. Now, I don't know if this is an upgraded version. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. It looks like maybe it is, actually. But it just looks great. And of course, it's spring because we've got seasons now. The hype will never end. We've got an air pollution, infographic here, which is, it looks awesome. And look at this tram depot or railway depot or whatever it is. It looks awesome. It looks great. And it's very visible here just how much pollution this industrial unit in particular is bringing. And, you know, it almost looks like it's based on direction as well. We've got these arrows here probably indicating the direction of the road, and then we've got a single household here. poor guy. Jail availability: 14 arrested out of a capacity of 100. prison availability, average crime probability, current number of criminals, number of crimes per month, escaped crime rate, police buildings, prisons, police cars. Oh, can be able to follow them around. Pretty cool. And prison vans, crime probability meters, police coverage. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what all of it means, but it looks pretty good. And it seems that there's lots of crime on this, narrow cul-de-sac road. Financial crime, maybe. Another infographic view showing the traffic flow. And this is nice. We've got a showcase of how traffic evolves during peak and non-peak hours. So that's very interesting. Especially interesting that the traffic flow is worst at midnight in this city. Interesting stuff. Maybe they're still working on the simulation. Or if you have an idea of why traffic flow... Oh, I turned it around. Sorry. I'm still running off adrenaline here. No, wait, it is... okay. Traffic flow is best at night because obviously you want the highest percentage. Let's move on to the next scene. This is getting embarrassing. Actually, let's not look at these loops. This is super sweet. Yeah, it looks great. Generally, the scale of everything just looks and feels... I don't know what it is. It's just a combination of a multitude of things and it just looks awesome. We're moving on. Oh. Some forestry industry being placed. Look at this view. We've got some... It looks like the, Interpol headquarters or something. We've got a football stadium here. A bit of a smaller one. And let's just see down here. We have all these rail lines that we saw a bit earlier. And we've got the coal power plant producing lots of smoke. Looks awesome. Here's a drinking game. You gotta take a shot each time I say awesome. Good luck in your future endeavors. The bridges look pretty cool. Yeah, very interesting. We're moving on. We've got winter time, but we don't have snow everywhere. It's a little selective where the snow is, which is pretty cool. And we've got this nighttime view, which is generally lackluster because some of these buildings just light up in a completely weird way. Why? I mean, unless this is the biggest party city of all time, not everyone is awake or at work in the middle of the night. But it should be an easy fix. I hope they'll improve on that. And we are back to what is obviously not in-game footage. But overall, an aesthetic that doesn't divert too much from the actual gameplay, which is what I talked about in the beginning, so I'm not disappointed. And is there any more? Is it just trailer stuff? It's just trailer stuff. So, October 24th, what does that mean for us? Well, there's not a whole lot of months until October, so I'm pretty excited. And I am going to do my best to see if I can schedule some vacation around this date, because as soon as this game releases, I'm just gonna dive face first with no helmet into it, and I want to take you guys on the ride. So I hope you'll get on board. It's gonna be a ton of fun. And that leads me to my overall verdict. Generally, I have to say that I'm very excited. I can't help but be very, very hyped, because above all else, above all other criticisms or dreams I had for this game, the most important thing for me was that the overall aesthetic was more pleasing. Because to fix that, if the aesthetic was bad, if it was still cartoony, you need to wait months and months on end while super talented, awesome asset creators release nice stuff on the workshop. But you will have to wait, and you will have to download all that stuff and play with all that stuff to get a really realistic city look. and that's gonna be loaded into your RAM. It's gonna cause performance issues, and generally what we see with like really heavily modded City Skylines series is that they of course grind to an absolute halt if you don't have a NASA supercomputer. So that's my main, positive from this gameplay trailer. The aesthetic is so much improved, and I mean, starting a City Skylines 2 YouTube series that is all vanilla it's gonna be a totally different thing now. I mean, that has a totally different meaning than making like an all vanilla City Skylines 1 series, because as far as I know, there's gonna be easy and nice workshop integration with City Skylines 2 as well, and we know all the cool asset creators and modders are gonna go ham and create nice stuff for this game. But I don't think there's gonna be as big a difference, as big a gap between vanilla City Skylines 2 cities and heavily, workshop asset heavy City Skylines 2 series. I just don't see it, because the aesthetic is just kind of realistic to begin with. So that's really nice. I'm also really happy with the changes to the overall light settings, the color palette. It looks much better. I can't wait to get to work on this. What else did we see? We saw wealth levels. Now, what that means, how that affects things, does it have a visual representation on the type of buildings that grow in your zoned areas? Like, if an area has low wealth buildings, it has lots of crime, it has a horrible school district, does that affect the types of props that will spawn, the types of houses that will spawn? All that, I guess, remains to be seen, because it's hard to extract all that from this gameplay trailer. But yeah, what I'm really looking forward to are some developer diaries in the coming months, so that we can really get to know this game much more. But I guess I want to send you guys off with excitement. I am very excited about this game. I hope you are as well, and I can't wait for it to release. And yeah, if you stuck with me this far, thank you so much. You obviously don't mind my voice, then you might not love it, but you don't mind it at least. Thank you for listening to my rambling, and I hope it was coherent enough for it to provide some sort of entertainment for you, or some sort of quality. Have a good night. Goodbye.